Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. A few days ago, I came across this man who goes by Chad2Dad, and I honestly don't even think I need to explain much past that for you to know why I'm making this video. Like, I think the name... The name says enough. To give some background on who he is before we dive into this absolute mess, he is a 60-year-old white American man who lives in his 4-story mansion in Hawaii, which he makes sure to tell you many times, with his 28-year-old Filipina wife and their 2 toddlers. He has a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, I believe, and recently he has gained a lot of attention. Like, there was a series of about 9 videos that all got like millions of views with thousands of comments. Like, he got ratioed so hard. It's quite funny to see. It's great to watch. We love watching men get what they deserve. And yeah, there's a number of reasons why, and we shall dive into that. And remember that if you enjoy this video and would like to see more like it, then please do not forget to subscribe. Over 50% of you are regular viewers who are not subscribed, and I would love it if you would. I'm here 3 times a week on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I would love to see you again. I'm also trying to hit 500k by the end of the year, and so anything helps. I appreciate it greatly. So let's have a look at some of his sort of backstory about who he is as a person and how we got here.
Chad2Dad here.
This is something he does in all of his videos. No matter what the conversation, no matter how serious it is, no matter what, he always thinks it's so cool. Every video he has his glasses on. They can be like seeing glasses or his sunglasses, and he takes them off and goes, Chad2Dad here, as though he's the fucking coolest man alive, and it's so funny.
Coming at you with something to really trigger you, and it's the core of relationships. It comes down to propagation. It comes down to making children. When it came to meeting and dating and marrying and having children with Jayanne, I was very specific in what I wanted. So when I went onto OkCupid, I had the world at my fingertips. I could have gone anywhere in the world and matched and dated any woman.
The fucking ego. The ego on this man. I went on OkCupid and I had the world at my fingertips. I could have any woman in the entire world. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. Don't lie. His age settings are from, I don't know his lowest age. I'm going to assume it's 18. Let's be so for real. But the oldest he has is 35 because the reason he is dating is to have children. He was in a 23-year marriage prior, like a very happy marriage. They were in love. He loved her. They're still really good friends. He asked for a divorce because he wanted kids and she was past the age of being able to have kids. And honestly, like, that feels like a slight red flag to me, because to me, that very much feels like I want a young wife whom I have control over, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
But I went to the Philippines, Manila in specific, because I live in Hawaii, and it's really a stone's throw from Hawaii to the Philippines.
Sorry, how far can you throw a stone? It's a stone's throw from Hawaii to the Philippines? It's a 9.5-hour flight. You can fly from Hawaii to Sydney, Australia in the same amount of time it takes you to get to the Philippines. What do you mean it's a stone's throw?
When I met Jayanne, it was because, and I swiped on her, and it was because she was a prime genetic specimen.
Don't call women specimens. Do not call women specimens. We are people, not a freaking science project, okay? Calling a woman a specimen or any version of it is the biggest red flag. The biggest red flag. Someone go get me the fucking red flag TikTok guy. Get me his flag and I will run around waving it, because that's disgusting.
She was tall, she's thin, great musculature, great physique. I was looking for someone to have children with that those children would get the best genetic stock. I know that's creepy, and I know you're going to say ew, because most people, the common person, the consumer of romantic music, movies, and other stuff, don't think that way. You all think that relationships are based on love. They are, but they are also based on very primal instincts that you're not even aware of. But you know who is aware of it? The elites, the people in charge. They think that way. Do you think super rich people don't select at some level, either consciously or innately, for genetic improvement?
Yeah, but rich people are also the fucking worst, and they're also gross. It is 2025, not 1025. We have medicine and many other things that can help, if kids have any genetic illnesses or whatever. And this is assuming that your genetics are perfect, but you're coming at this from a purely aesthetic purpose. You are picking someone to marry, to have kids with, specifically because you want beautiful children. You understand that's weird, right? So weird to me to prioritize the beauty of your children over everything else. So that's his reasoning for finding and marrying a young Filipino woman. Not because he's predatory, obviously not. He has a respect for Filipino culture. He connects with it because he had a girlfriend once who was Filipino. So obviously that's why he's there, not because he's a predatory white man preying on young, vulnerable women. Obviously that's not why. So he just found a perfect specimen to have his babies, so his babies will be beautiful. And so he can say fun things like this. This is a video of his 1-year-old daughter dancing at Disneyland for a minute with the text unchanging over the screen that says, "The foundation of human existence is a mean father ensuring the survival of his daughter so she can make him sons who fight for his grandfather's values. Swipe if you don't understand." I'm gonna have to give you a big swipe on that one, because what did you just say? What did I just read? The purpose of having a daughter is so she can have sons who value you. How did you make how did you make this take worse than I even thought it was going to be? The purpose of having a daughter is so she can have a son to value you? Are you what? What year is it? So you value your daughter purely for a male heir that she can birth. You're 60. Are you sure you're going to be around when your daughter starts having kids? I don't know if you're ever going to meet your grandkids. You're a smoker. So maybe your grandson will uphold your values, but you wouldn't be around to say, honestly, I don't think he cares. He seems like a legacy type of guy. But given your attitude and the fact you're saying this, and everything that is about to unfold in this video, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I don't think your daughter is going to be in your life much longer either. I don't think she's going to want much to do with you because you say shit like this. You put your entire 1-year-old daughter's worth on her potential children, not just her potential children, her potential male children. This is a video that just says 50-50 marriage, and it is of them cleaning the floor together. They're like cleaning out the grout. And this video in itself is like fine. They're like doing a task together. Shaw shared the task work and they're like joking, being like, look, we split the chores 50-50. And it would have been kind of fine until there was a comment where someone commented 50-50, shit, let me do it all on my own. She's probably more of an obstacle than anything. And he replied, you're right, but women are children. You have to include them and make them feel like they're contributing. You could have just said nothing. But instead you came in here and used it as an excuse to be a misogynist, which was so unnecessary. You came in here just to be like, yeah, women are children and men are above them and we hold power over them, but we have to make them feel useful. I want to hurt this man. While on the topic of cleaning, I want to turn this around on ourselves really quick because we all like to feel clean. Especially for me anyways, is your face, our skin. We love the feeling of having nice, clean skin. And that is where today's sponsor, Geologie, comes in and is your absolute best friend. Geologie is a 38-time award-winning hair, skin, and body care company who aim to make skincare easy. I have been working with Geologie for a very long time now. I think it's been almost 3 years. And I am obsessed with them. I love Geology so much. Nothing has ever helped my skin as much as Geology. I really struggled with breakouts for a few years and nothing helped at all. Like, things actually typically made it worse. I have really sensitive skin, and even face washes that were designed for sensitive skin would make me react really poorly, but I've never had that issue with Geology. I switched to Geology and it made a difference so quickly, and my skin has never been better than it is right now. Geology makes it super easy to use and to find the products that will work for you. You just have to do a quick little skin survey and they will come up with the best kit for you, and it includes 2 cleansers to use morning and night, a moisturizer to use in the morning, which includes an SPF, which is incredibly important, an eye cream, which is perfect if you are like me and do not know sleep. I had 3 hours of sleep last night, but you wouldn't be able to tell. And my favorite thing of all time, my favorite skincare product ever, is this night cream, which is a retinol. It helps with acne, it helps with scarring, it helps with texture, etc. And it's also so incredibly velvet smooth. Like, it feels so good going on your skin. And one of my other favorite things that they have is an additional that you can add on to the set is this vitamin C and E serum, which is also very good for like texture and skin brightening. They also have a whole range of shampoos, conditioners, body washes, etc., all of which I also really love. In general, I just love their products and I cannot recommend them enough. And if you would like to try them out for yourself, then you can use the QR code up on the screen right now or the link in the description with the code KIWI70. You will get 70% off your custom skincare set, which makes it only $12, and you will get an additional item for free. And that is an incredible deal. You absolutely do not want to miss out. Please do not forget to use my code KIWI70. You will not regret it. Genuinely an incredible brand, incredible products. I cannot recommend them enough. Thank you, Geology, for your continued support, and thank you everyone for using the link. I hope that you enjoy, and let's get back into the video. So now that you have that information about him, we're gonna watch another video that again is about him justifying the age gap between him and his wife and why it's not creepy and predatory, and it's actually a very fine, normal, healthy, good thing to do.
The guys coming over to date Filipinas, they fall into 2 categories. They are older men looking for companionship. They already have children, they've probably been through a divorce or 2 in America, and they're looking for a companion. The second category are guys that don't have children and looking to start families. And that makes the Philippines a great option for this type of guy, because there's no birth control in the Philippines. Young Filipino women have not, this is going to sound gross, but they haven't burned out their ovaries with birth control. It's not a thing there. The whole taking care of their bodies is a lot more prevalent in the Philippines. They don't even use tampons there, you know, it's only napkins.
You're right. That does sound creepy and gross, because it is, and also factually incorrect. Who told you the Philippines doesn't have birth control? Are you okay, sir? They absolutely have birth control in the Philippines, and they also use tampons. Not that that's relevant. I don't understand what that has to do with anything. They take care of their bodies. They don't fry their ovaries with birth control, which isn't a thing, and they don't use tampons, which also irrelevant to literally any conversation at all. Sitting here and telling me that it's better for older men to go to the Philippines to start families than it is for older men to go over for companionship. Like, you're trying to put those on 2 different levels and say that one is better than the other. I would argue that companionship is better than going and finding someone so you can just use their body to produce an heir for you. Bringing them back to your country and then providing for them and giving them money and whatever, but then forcing them to stay in the home and raise your children. You think that is morally better than just companionship? I don't think companionship is great either. It is forcing a power dynamic. It's like a sugar daddy power dynamic, which is, when you're going into third world countries to do that, taking advantage of women. It absolutely is. Companionship in that sense is also bad. But acting like this is better is absurd. How have you convinced yourself that this is better?
Now add to it the family values that they have in the Philippines. Well, it's a perfect recipe. Speaking of family and the money aspect of it, the large portion of American men, I don't know how it is for other guys, Australia or wherever, we have a big boundary against supporting the rest of our wife's family. Okay, we're not in it to take care of the whole family. We are supporting our family here in America, and money is for our children. It's not for the aunties and uncles and grandparents over in the Philippines. And that's a tough line to draw, but most guys draw it. She'll have that option in the future. When she has her own income stream, she's welcome to do what she wants. But at least for now, it's all for our family.
This is so fascinating to me, and it says a lot about him and how much he doesn't actually care about her or the situation or her culture like he liked to say. So he said earlier, obviously, he has a connection with the Filipino culture. He loves the Filipino culture. He has a connection to it. And then just here, he's like, in Filipino culture, they help out their extended families. But I don't want to do that. I don't like that. Following up by being like, if she wants to help support her family, she can do it when she earns her own money. Meanwhile, not giving her any opportunities to earn her own money because he keeps her home to look after his kids. He himself built complexes on his land to care for his own parents. His parents lived with him for many years before they died, and he spent so much time and money on them to make them comfortable and have good, comfortable lives. His dad lived there for 17 years and his mother for 4, but he won't give any money to the family of his wife. So firstly, it's Filipino culture, a lot of Asian cultures, to help out extended family. That is part of what they do. But because it's not your family, you won't do it, even though you're married, so technically, legally, also your family. Just something to think about there, my guy.
Only recently, this year, the legislature in the Philippines legalized divorce. Up till now, divorce has not been legal in the Philippines. So right now, the attitude and mindset of your average Filipina is that you're in it to win it. You're in it till the end. The divorce is not a consideration. It's at least not a game plan. It's not a retirement plan for the woman. You're most likely to get through the hard times knowing that, your wife, my Filipino wife, isn't thinking of nuking it all with a divorce.
And this is another example of how he views women. Red flag, screaming red flag, wee woo, sirens coming. Oh my God. I want to marry her because divorce isn't within her culture. She can't leave me. She's going to want to stay because Filipino women don't get divorce. Divorce is not legal there. Firstly, ridiculously fucked up that divorce only just became legal in the Philippines. I did Google this. There are only 2 countries in the world where divorce is not legal. It was the Philippines and Vatican City. But if that's a motivation for marrying... Okay, so now we are going to move into the thick of it, which is the separation. Let's watch his announcement of it, shall we?
Well, it didn't take long. It only took 2 years, literally to the day, December 27th, for my Filipino wife to become fully Americanized, hate everything about me and what I provide, and decide to leave.
Complaining about her becoming Americanized in the sense that it means she has independence and will choose to leave you if it's making her unhappy, but then complaining about every other aspect of her culture really says so much about him, right? Like, we already knew this, but I love him being like, Filipino culture is stupid. I hate everything about it. You have to be American when you live in America, despite living in Hawaii, which is I know it's one of the states, but it shouldn't be, and it's a very cultural place, but that also says a lot about him. But basically trying to wash all the culture out of her to make her an American housewife, and liking the Filipino values being just doesn't get divorced and is submissive. And as soon as she isn't those things, he's like, American! You're not meant to be American? You mean like a strong woman? Okay, so...
After providing and going on the Disney World trip, when we got back from Orlando to St. Simons, Georgia, I was greeted with the announcement from Jayan that she wanted a separation. And then I discovered through text that she had been discussing this with her family.
No shit was she discussing this with her family. You don't go into asking your husband and father of your children for a separation without talking to people about it first. That is something you talk to your family about. If you have a problem with her talking to her family about important life decisions, you are controlling. If you get mad at her for having conversations with her family about important things, you need to do some work on that, because that is, quite frankly, not up to you. That's not your business. It may involve you, but sometimes you need an outside perspective, especially when you've been isolated by your husband to effectively just living in the house, and only going places where he goes. So yeah, she's going to be talking about this with her family.
That's a nuke. And I'm going to go into my bunker. So I came downstairs in my nice 4-story mansion and just stayed by myself through Christmas Eve and through Christmas Day. And I missed Christmas with my children. They proceeded to open the presents without me. Presents all of which I bought.
Okay. I feel like I am a qualified person to weigh in here, because he and his wife are separated presently, right? And the way they have logistically worked that is that he is living in the basement and she is taking upstairs. And he is here complaining about how he doesn't see his kids and he didn't get to see his kids on Christmas. Now, let me tell you a fun story about me that I don't actually think I've shared on the internet before. My parents separated in 2008. So that was 17 years ago? My dad moved into the basement. My dad has been living in the basement of my family home for 17 years. My parents got officially divorced in 2013, so that's still 12 years. My parents have been legally divorced with my dad living in the basement. Now, is this a great arrangement? No. Has this caused long-lasting trauma? Yes. However, I did see my dad regularly. I saw my dad most days, even if only for 5 minutes. And, there's a whole separate can of worms that goes with that whole thing. But ultimately, I've seen my dad every Christmas until I moved. He would spend Christmas with us. He would spend birthdays with us. He would spend New Year's with us. That is something that constantly occurred. And my parents don't have a good relationship. But obviously he lived downstairs, and it is not difficult to make yourself known and enjoy things with the family. Now, I don't know. Maybe Jay-Ann told him that he wasn't allowed to come up for Christmas, but the way that he's speaking makes it sound entirely like he made the decision to stay in the basement to make them feel guilty about forcing him down there. The way that he is speaking makes it very much sound like I hid myself away. I was locked down here by myself and no one would speak to me and I didn't even get to spend Christmas with the kids. If she asked for that, then thank you for staying in the basement. I'm glad that you respected that boundary. But if she didn't and you're doing it just to punish her and the kids and make her feel bad that the kids didn't see their dad on Christmas, that's a fucked up thing to do. And that's kind of the vibe that it's feeling. And I also want to say here, being I bought the presents. Did you buy the presents or did your wife buy them with your money? Because those are different things. Because if your wife is a stay-at-home mother who doesn't have her own income, then the card that she has, that's her money. That's her money. Your money is her money. Sure, it may have been from the money that you earn at your paid job, but her job is looking after the house. It's looking after the kids. That money is also her money. If she went and she chose those presents, she bought them, not you. You cannot sit here and turn around and be like, that was my money. Not how this works.
The separation is a separation. I'm lucky enough to have a big house and the logistics of it can be met right away, but I spent Christmas utterly by myself. And it's coming up on New Year's Eve, and I'm still alone. Because there's no communication from her. Why? Because she's communicating with her parents.
Yeah, so he is just confirming that he made the decision to lock himself in the basement because there's no communication. You could have asked, do you want me to present for Christmas? You could have said, I would like to spend Christmas with my kids, can I? You could have asked and you could have said that. Instead, you locked yourself in the basement and we're trying to wait for her to come to you with an apology, despite you being the one who should be apologizing. And it's not her responsibility to take that upon herself. She expressed what she wanted and you locked yourself away like a child. Manipulative.
The reason I went public with what's going on, and I did that because I believe in this situation, transparency is the most important thing. We've gotten to this point because there's been a little bit of dishonesty from Jay-Ann in the form of texting with her family and people behind my back, discussing things that she really should have just come to me with first. I'm not talking to anybody behind her back. I'm talking about our problem to the world.
This is... What do you mean? This is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my entire life. She betrayed me by talking to her parents about our relationship. She was confiding in her parents about how I was hurting her and she needed advice. And I don't think that's okay. So I'm talking to the world. I'm telling everyone our business. I am making it everyone's problem, and I'm not hiding it. I'm not ashamed to be talking about everything. She should have come to me and talked to me. I'm going to talk to everyone. How do you think you're making yourself look like the good guy here? If you aren't letting your wife talk about her personal life with her parents, that is abuse, my guy. If you are trying to isolate her and not have anyone look at your relationship, you are being abusive. That's what this is. Straight up. And like, why can't you talk to her parents? If you aren't doing anything wrong, why does it matter if she is talking to her parents about you? Unless you're worried that they're going to point out what you're doing isn't okay. That's the reason people isolate people, right? This is the reason partners isolate their partners. It's because they don't want anyone to see what fucked up shit they're doing. If you don't have anyone to confide in, no one can tell you to leave. And by you getting mad at her talking to her parents, that is you showing your true colors completely. And then you coming and saying that transparency is good, so you are going to tell all of TikTok when she isn't even allowed to talk to her parents. Fuck off.
My Filipino wife has been Americanized. In America, if a wife, even a girlfriend, is not happy in the relationship, all she has to say to the world on social media, and especially to the government, I'm not happy. And if she drops the word abused or anything along those lines, the American system steps in. It steps in to protect her for any allegations that she makes.
Yeah? Yep, and if you think that's a bad thing, once again, you are really showing your true colors here. Being like, if a woman is unhappy and she says to the government she wants to leave, they just let her leave. That's so disgusting. And especially if she says the word abuse, they're gonna take her side. No shit, Sherlock. No fucking shit. They should take her side even if she doesn't say abuse, let alone if she does. Women should be allowed to leave their marriages. They should be allowed to leave relationships where they are not happy. Not being happy is in fact a good enough reason to leave. And if you don't think that is a valid reason, you're a bad person who doesn't actually love your partner. If your partner says to you, I'm unhappy, this marriage is making me unhappy, then if you really love her, you will want her to move on so that she can be happy. And coming in here and trying to be like, the court shouldn't allow that, women shouldn't be allowed to leave when they're unhappy, you're a bad person and you're abusive. Because why do you need to keep her in your control?
And the man's side of the story is, it's all assumed. I'm an evil, controlling, patriarchal, oppressive white dude. And the narrative instantly becomes me bad, she victim.
Well, yeah, there's enough videos on the internet to prove that that is true. You've been posting all of this online, and you've posted enough shit to show that you are a controlling, manipulative asshole. So, thank you for all the evidence.
Americanized means weaponization of the male-female relationship to benefit the female.
There we go. There it is. It's the fact that this is the only thing you care about in terms of culture. Like, being like, I'm not a predator. I didn't go to the Philippines for, like, any reason other than, like, they're pretty and make good babies. I didn't go to prey on women. This is literally proving that you did, in fact, go to prey on women because you want to date women specifically who will not leave you, no matter what you do. You wanted to go to find a place where you're like, ooh, I can treat these women however I want and they won't leave me. That's literally what you're saying right now. And then you're also being like, I'm not a predator though. I'm very respectful. I love women. Ha, bro. Infuriating. Oh my God, you're the worst. You're the worst. Now, Chad to dad has obviously been deliberately very vague and hasn't really actually said that much about the situation other than saying that she's been Americanized and this is all the fault of effectively the woke left and not actually telling us any information. Jayan came online and made a video sort of clarifying and talking a little bit about the situation. And it's very long. So I'm obviously going to just include clips as I have been for all of these. But yeah, let's have a look at what she had to say.
I think the word Americanized has nothing to do with someone who is disrespectful, especially to your people. Let's say that your closest people. It's because he disrespected my parents, screaming, snatching some things verbally and physically. You are freely disrespecting me and abusing me. I think that's enough. You can do it 24/7 to me. You can do it anytime, but to the point that you're gonna be disrespecting my people, especially my parents. I think that's what, draw the line. I think that's when the time that I said I want to separate.
This is so sad. This is so fucking sad. Straight up her being like, this man abuses me a lot, constantly. And that's fine. I will tolerate that. But the second you abuse my parents, the second you bring anyone else into this, that's the line. I am so sorry that this is happening to you. I'm so sorry that you have been in this relationship for 2 years where you are being abused and taken advantage of. And I'm sorry that that wasn't enough for you. It sucks so much that so many women think that this behavior is okay and that they should tolerate it. And then that's just what, a marriage looks like and that's what's normal and that's what's to be expected. It's not. I'm glad that, there was something that happened that made you realize this isn't okay and to stand up for yourself. I'm sorry that it happened. I'm sorry that any of this happened. Fuck. That's horrible. And him still making these videos being like, but I'm a good guy though. America is the problem.
For the last 2 years, I am standing up for myself. I know it's really difficult because I have children. I'm so fed up. I'm so done. It's because I'm so hurt and he's not gonna change. All I know is if I didn't stop or I didn't make a move, it's gonna be a normal. He's gonna disrespect me. He's gonna disrespect my people. He's gonna disrespect anyone. So this is just me that, putting some boundaries.
I'm so proud of her for setting those boundaries. It can be so hard. It can be so hard to set boundaries, especially when you've had 2 years of a relationship where there are no boundaries or where boundaries have been crossed to the point where you've just given up setting them and like enforcing the fact, being like, no, these are the boundaries, is such a difficult thing to do. And I'm incredibly proud of her for doing this.
He claims that I hated what he provides. As far as I remember, I'm always grateful for him. I'm always vocal, thanking him for my life right now. You can see my social media. I never criticizes him. It's always praising, even though there's something going on inside our house. I will never speak or talk about our fights on my social media. It's because I am protecting him and I'm protecting my children. We have kids, the next 10-20 years there's gonna be social media and they might see this. I think it's really selfish for him to post for views, for attention, for sympathy.
This is also incredibly true, right? Like him abusing her for 2 years and then her finally standing up for herself, leading to him coming online and talking about how progressiveness is to blame and how it's so fucked up that like women now stand up for themselves and how dare she think that she should stand up for herself. This is the problem of progressiveness and whatever. When she's been protecting him this whole time because she doesn't want her kids to see this shit when they're older. She wants to just like, she's protecting him out of what she thinks is necessity. And then he immediately comes online and attacks her the day she has the nerve to stand up for herself.
I am really homesick. I've been here for 2 years. He promised me that we're gonna go back to the Philippines at least once or twice a year, but that never happened. And so I kept on telling him that I need to go back. It's just sad. It's because fast forward to the booking day, he already booked going back to the Philippines, and then that same day he canceled it too. It's because he said that I'm ungrateful. It's because I didn't say thank you right away. It's because at that time I got excited and I don't have any choice. It's because I don't have money. I don't have any control about.
Oh my God. That's just straight up abuse. That's straight up just horrific manipulation there. Booking her a trip to see her family after you've lied to her, like in order to partially manipulate her into getting married to you by being like, don't worry, we'll go home a couple times a year, and then not doing that. And when you finally allow her to do it because he controls the finances, canceling it because she wasn't grateful enough. If anyone ever does anything like that to you on any scale, I hope you leave immediately. I hope you have the capacity to leave immediately. The problem here, and in so many of these relationships, and the reason these men do in fact go for these women, is that she doesn't have money. She doesn't have any money for herself. She does not have the ability to financially support herself if she made the decision to leave. Her life has been moved to Hawaii. That's where her kids are. That's where her house is now. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a way to support herself and her kids. So she literally cannot leave. He is doing this and he is manipulating her in this way, and he is reminding her by doing this that she owes her life to him. He is in control of everything. When she sees her parents, how she spends her time, how she spends her money, all of that is reliant on him, and she has to effectively like worship him. And if she does anything less than that, it's not good enough. And he has the power trip of that. And that is why he made the decision to find a Filipino wife. And she has made a video talking about this because people started being like, can you open a GoFundMe? Can we give you money? We will help get you out. And she made a video being like, no, I'm not making a GoFundMe for me. I think that other people need it more, but I've monetized my videos, and so all of you watching is really helpful, which is great. And then she's like, I have a platform now, and so what I want to do with this platform, I've been thinking about how to use my voice. And she talked about how she wants to talk about the importance of women earning their own money, of women having financial paths of getting skills, of getting jobs, of not getting into marriages where you are reliant on someone else's wages. And I think that that is such a wonderful thing to want to do. However, I do hope that she doesn't put too much pressure on herself to do it, because obviously she's still in the situation. This is still like a very fresh thing. She still is unable to leave. They are not fully separated. I understand the pressures of doing that to yourself, where you put being a voice on your shoulders. It can be quite a heavy thing to carry. I understand feeling like it's important, and I think it's a wonderful thing to want to do to help others. And I just hope that she doesn't forget to help herself along her journey of helping others. Unfortunately, she is pregnant again, which is super upsetting and incredibly terrible timing. And he made a video about it that I think once again says more about his character than almost anything else.
Welcome to the top floor of my 4-story mansion in Honolulu, Hawaii on New Year's Eve 2025. And you know why I know that my Americanized Filipino wife is not gonna leave me? She's pregnant. She may not love me, she may not want me, but she needs me. And that's what love is based on. Need. Don't fucking kid yourselves. Okay? Let's enjoy this New Year's Eve.
This is terrifying. This is terrifying. It's so fucking scary. The tone in which he said that, the look behind his eyes, everything about this video is the biggest, most terrifying red flag. I already suspected, based on everything, that she was in danger. This really solidifies the fact that, she isn't safe. Marriage is about need. It's all about need, and she needs me. She can't leave. She's not allowed to leave. She'll never survive without me because, he controls the finances. He controls everything. He controls her. And obviously he gets a great deal of power out of that. And it's just incredibly fucked up and incredibly fucking sad. And I am so, so sad for her. And a lot of people have obviously been calling him out and saying that this is abuse. And he came online and basically was like, you guys don't know what abuse is. You don't even know what abuse looks like. Abuse is when I got hit by my ex-girlfriend and it drew blood. And I'm like, yes, that is abuse. And I'm really sorry that you experienced that. It's not okay. I'm sorry that your ex-girlfriend hit you and it drew blood. That's fucking horrible. But that doesn't stop this from being abuse. Because emotional and mental abuse and possibly sexual abuse also, and physical abuse, we don't know. All of those are abuse. You can't just take one example and be like, well, it's not that. So she did an interview talking about the situation, and it was a very long interview that I did not watch, but he made a reaction to it. So We're gonna watch his reaction to this interview that she did.
Chat to Dad, hello! Thank you for being here.
Is he here? He's taking care of the kids.
Talaga akong bata na, ano?
Mukha ba namang bata? Ang ganda-ganda mo nga eh.
Ikaw nga dyan. Okay, ganito na lang. Maybe we can start.
I love the bait of starting this by showing us him in the chat of her live interview and being like, I'll leave if it makes you comfortable. Not actually showing us if he sent that message, nor showing us if he actually left. Just wanting us to think that he cares about her comfort.
Hey, Chad to Dad here.
The glasses thing will never not be funny. It will never not be funny. Like, the tone, like, why are you doing that? You don't look cool, you look stupid.
Giving you an update. Jan and I are still separated officially. I'm still living in my basement bunker of my 4-story mansion in Hawaii.
Just to note, because I don't know how much of this particular TikTok I'm going to keep intact, but he says in this TikTok, he lives in a 4-story mansion in Hawaii 3 separate times. 3 separate times in this one TikTok.
I was just a little annoyed and I was triggered about all of the you go girl power, get your bag, every woman has to earn her own money.
Being triggered by girl power is embarrassing as hell, man. Like, that's so embarrassing for you. Imagine being triggered by girl power. Women saying like, we should look out for each other. We should earn our own money. We should be financially independent. And he's like, I'm so triggered. Oh my God, I'm being attacked. Bitch, shut the fuck up. If you feel triggered and attacked by that, you are absolutely definitely the problem. And it's astounding to me that you refuse to accept that.
Man, it must be nice. It must be nice. I wish that the roles were reversed and that I could be the stay-at-home dad and take care of our kids all day. It's easy. It's the easiest job in the world, being a parent.
Oh, shut up. Like, says the parent who is not the hands-on parent. Says the parent who does not stay home and look after the kids all day. Like, it's all well and good for you to sit here and be like, it's so easy. What do you do? What do you do? What do you contribute to parenting? Have you ever been a full-time parent for any period of time? No? Shut the fuck up.
This notion that a stay-at-home mom is working, it's work, raising your own children. Being a parent is not a job. It's an investment.
Calling being a parent and having kids an investment? That's an incredibly fucked up way of looking at your kids. You look at your child as an investment. An investment for what, Chad?
And if you do a good job in your investment and you raise them well, they're going to be there for you when you're older. So you're taking care of yourself if you're taking care of your children.
Of course. Of course. The reason you have kids, the one and singular only reason to have kids, is for your daughter to breed you grandsons, obviously, and for them to look after you when you're older. If you love them and raise them right, they'll look after you when you're older. Well, by the sounds of it, you're not doing much of the raising. That's her. And also, you're a terrible person who abuses your partner. So therefore, they likely are not going to want anything to do with you when you're older anyway, and you will be put in a home and just like left there. You're not doing a good job of being a good dad. You view your kids as investments, and that already says enough about the quality of you as a person and a parent. And they are not going to want to look after you when you're older, especially if they come across these TikToks. The rest of this video is him just giving examples about how much he cared for his parents by, you know, building complexes on his land so he could look after them when they were old and sick. Which again, so funny considering he refuses to help out his wife's family in any way at all, despite them living in a place where cost of living and everything is much cheaper. But it doesn't count because it's not his family. He doesn't give a shit about anyone outside of himself and his investments. This man really just sat here and cried about how hard it is to be a man with money. Calling women specimens and wondering why his wife wants to leave him. The first time he talked about her, he referred to her as a specimen. And he's wondering why she wants to leave him. He disrespected her and her parents. He calls his kids investments. And he comes online to vent everything for transparency because his wife dared to speak to her own parents. And then he's here like, I don't understand why everyone thinks I'm the bad guy. I just think that if you are posting these videos online and you have literal tens of thousands of people calling you out and telling you what you're doing isn't okay, and you choose to believe the like 3 people that are on your side, you're delusional and you're a narcissist. Like, you genuinely think you are the only person in the world and your opinion is the only opinion that matters and nothing else does. You don't give a shit about anyone. I hope so much that Jaean is able to find a way to earn an income that is not just TikTok, because, you know, this drama is going to die and I would love for her to be able to continue to make content. But I don't know if that's a plausible long-term solution here. I hope that she is able to find work. I hope that she is able to keep her visa should she wish to stay in the States. And I hope that she is able to leave him, because presently she is saying that she is going to stay with him because she is pregnant, because obviously she needs the support and she doesn't want to separate. And I understand that given the situation, but I really hope that she is able to leave. And I am wishing her nothing but the best. And for Chad to dad, I am wishing nothing but rotting in a corner. I hope that she inherits all of his money and all of his land. And I don't particularly care how that occurs. I just hope that she is able to get all of it. A massive thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Bobby, Ellie, Chris, Samuel, Knitting Menace, Radsack, Mr. Noodle, Lady Nutbar, Ella, Queen Glimmer, River, Phenomenally, Jesse, Phil the Duck, Uh-Oh, It's Craiglow, Blaze, Blue Kitsune 24, MA Ping the Games, Joy, L James D, Prismatic, and Beckett. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat, click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos up to 5 days early and ad-free for those days. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, Spanish Media Podcasts, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.
When you close your eyes